Hi guys, welcome to a new knitting podcast. My name is Claudia and welcome here on Claudia's Knits, where I talk mostly about my colorful knitwear. That's something that I pride myself to be because the knitting world can be quite neutral, brown, beigeish, grayish, and that's not me. I like some color. So today is going to be a full episode. I have a finished storm sweater, finished Vienna blouse, I finished a hat, started another hat, working on my sweet shop blanket, my Esther jacket, my honey washbag, and I think that's about it. So I have a lot to show you. It's been a month or more than a month since I filmed last episode, but I have felt such a great knitting mojo these last couple of weeks. I've been sick. I had like the flu or something like that, but fortunately I could knit some, and I got in a flow. I really wanted to knit a whole lot and I managed to do that. And also I wanted to make use of that mojo, like working on projects that had been in hibernating space a bit and finish some things, making some gifts. So yeah, let's get started. I have my coffee with me, but also some tea for when this is really hot right now. So let's enjoy this time together, shall we? I'll start with the first finished object, and I think the most exciting finished object, which is the storm sweater. Oh, here it is. So this is a pattern by Petiteknit, and it's actually the second storm sweater that I made. For the occasion I decided to wear my first storm sweater for this episode, so you can see it on right now. This is the first one. It's an all over textured pattern, and you have like these blocks and four different kind of repeats. So you have the broken rib, you have like a diamond shape in here, the diagonal stripes, and then these feel like bumps, like spotted, polka dot almost. And the whole sweater is worked up with only knits and purl stitches, so it is quite easy to do. Words in English, sometimes it's still a little bit hard. I also made the Ingrid sweater, and that's a little bit more technical, I think. I prefer this pattern. I also like the look of this sweater. I made this one in Sandnes Garn Double Sunday. I think the color is like a dusty olive, I would guess, but you have to look up a previous episode where I showed this sweater. I made a size medium because in this pattern, and I've mentioned it before, the medium and the large is exactly the same. The only difference is in the length. So this one is oversized enough. I really love this. I made it a little bit shorter than the pattern says, so a repeat less, I believe, on the sleeves and the body. But that's just because my row gauge is different than from Petiteknit herself. I wear this quite a lot, and as a review for the Double Sunday, it does peel some, and I have heard that it peels quite a lot because Double Sunday is a non-superwash merino. It's really comfortable to wear, but I do feel that it holds up quite nicely. I do have some pilling, but it's fine. I mean, I wear this quite a lot. I'm really excited to start wearing this a lot more this winter, and I think I want to work with Double Sunday again, so that is saying something. Well, back to the finished object. This is it in all her glory. This yarn is Drops Flora. I have a skein left. The color code is 26, so it's a really beautiful soft butter yellow color. My gauge is a little bit different. I held two strands together thinking I would get the same gauge because then you have two strands of fingering together. It's a DK, but I think I knitted a whole lot looser on my first one and tighter on my second one. And in the end, knitting a little bit tighter or a lot tighter makes a neater fabric, especially with this texture. But also, if you start knitting tighter, it's not going to be pretty if you're halfway through the project and you start knitting looser. So I had to run with it. And last time I told you that I blocked the upper part of the sweater to see if the size would be okay. But now it's really finished. I do really like how this texture shows really well on this lighter color. It just makes me happy. And if you compare this, maybe I can do it with holding it like so. I feel like especially this repeat is so much smaller in this Flora version. This one is smaller as well, which means this sweater is way more cropped. And also, no, I did the same amount of repeats. I stopped with this diamond shape in the first one as well. I did the long 8 centimeter 1x1 rib, but this one is way more cropped. And on the sleeves, I did one extra repeat compared to the first one. So yeah, the yarn and attention did a whole lot of different. The pattern, for who is curious, you start in the back and you do some increases, and then you do the whole trapezium shape because it's a drop shoulder sweater. So you start in the back, you do some shaping under the arms. Then you pick up stitches for the front. First the right shoulder, then the left shoulder. Where's the left shoulder and right shoulder on the sweater? I don't know anymore. And then you join them. And there is some shaping here for the neckline. Again, this neckline is way tighter. It's not that stretchy even. And this one, well, it's looser. I prefer this in hindsight. And then you join in round. You pick up stitches for the sleeves. And it's quite easy to do. I like this pattern. Still like this pattern. I don't know if I want to knit it again, because I don't think I need 3 of the same sweaters. But if I could manage to make one exactly like this and just in a different color, maybe. Never say never. I knitted this on needle size 3.5, I believe. And the pattern calls for 4. But I really enjoyed the fabric when I swatched this. So that's what I went with. I bought 12 skeins, and this is what I have left, by the way. So 1 full skein and 1, well, 3/4 of a skein left. So I used 10 skeins plus a little bit extra. I'll show you a clip of me wearing it. You can see that it is really cropped, but with my length and my body, it's quite hard to decide to do 1 extra repeat, and that would mean 1 whole block of like this, 7 centimeters extra, almost 2 inches, and then the sweater would be maybe too long. For tucking in, I really like this crop length. Maybe I will unravel the ribbing at some point and make an extra repeat. I do have the yarn for it, but I'm lazy. So I will see how much I will wear this sweater right now. I have worn it a couple of times this week. So let's see. Maybe next year I think I will get more wear out of it if it's a little bit longer. I did all the finishings with the Italian bind off, tubular bind off, I don't know the names. But the 2 set of rows with double knitting, and that's that. I also did, you can see it over here, some extra decreases over here just before the ribbing, because I felt like I wanted it a little bit more snug, but it got a little bit too snug. So don't really like that, but I think that will be okay, especially when I tuck it in. It's not noticeable. So this is it. I don't know what else I can say about it, to be honest. I think the first one is prettier, it's more oversized. I like it a little bit more, but this will definitely get some use. And sometimes it's nice to not spend a whole lot of money on yarn, and drops, especially in sale, is that And I really want to do something with this butter yellow color. I was just obsessed with this color yellow. If you see my podcast, you know that. So that's my first finished object. Then let's go to the Vienna blouse. And well, I'm really glad that it is finished, because this was quite a lot of work. But this won't be my favorite thing I ever made. I know that, I knew that before it was finished, but I do like to finish things. Am I saying with like 4 socks on my needle still left? Anyways, the Vienna blouse is a pattern by Sandnes Garn, so you can buy it in one of their books. It is a cardigan with these cute ties, I-cord ties, and it has a peplum skirt kind of thing. So it cinches in, or it stops at the waist, and then it flows out. And the back is just plain. You start with casting on all your stitches for the whole upper part, and then you do the increases alongside here, so you get a saddle shoulder construction, and you do some short rows alongside these saddle shoulders, so this gets a little bit bigger, and then on the other side as well. And when you've done both the shoulders, then you start working the back panel up, back and forth, just straight. And the saddle bit is on hold. I told you that last time, I think. And the front portion is also on hold. So then you do the back. There is some shaping here for the underarm. And if you've done the back panel, you go to the front. And then the stitches that are on hold, you work alongside that. So here the shaping is done. But you do some shaping under the underarm. Other than that, it is straight. One thing that I noticed, but I've talked about that in previous episode, is that it says knit for X amount of centimeters. I don't like that. I want the exact amount of rows. I know some people prefer the centimeters because row gauge can be a bit difficult. But for me, I don't want to have to think all that much. Anyways, if that front portion is done, then you do the other front portion. You join, I want to say it around, but it's a cardigan, so you join the whole thing together until you are about the length. Whole thing about the length was that the peplum, when you reach it, you cast it off, and then you pick up the stitches along that edge. So there is a seam in here. I think that's for structural support, that's a little bit sturdier. And then you increase every stitch. So in the end, I had more, or almost 500 stitches on my needles for the peplum. And that weighs it down a lot. So it was getting too long and yarn needed to be saved. I had to play some yarn chicken. So I cut a little bit out, 5-6 centimeters out. I grafted it together, and to be honest, that's really not noticeable. I had some extra yarn, and now it hits my waist. So when you're looking at it at the front when I'm wearing it, it hits perfectly from my waist. I really don't like my waist being this high up in my torso, but I'm really short. I'm 160 centimeters, so what else can I do? And then I did the peplum as far as I could for the amount of yarn that I had. I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish it was like, well, 2 inches longer at least. If you've done that, then you have the stitches on hold here for the saddle shoulder. You pick up stitches along the sides, and then the sleeves are a little bit tapered, as you can see. Well, it's twisted right now a little bit. And on the edge, it is double folded with a purl row in the middle. I knitted it together because I like doing that technique. I think it's really neat and beautiful. And I also did that for the peplum. It looks a little bit, well, wobbly because of the blocking, because how do you block so much fabric that it's stretched out as much as I could? I stretched it out, pinned it down, but I don't want it to be like a tutu. So I want to have it flowy at the bottom, but I did the same technique, just a little bit smaller, but folded down because I really like the clean look that it gives. And then you pick up stitches along the sides, you do an I-cord edge, you pick up stitches for the whole neck band and do an I-cord edge, and then the extra I-cord ties. So this, if you want to have a project that takes really long to knit, well, make the Vienna blouse. The idea of the ties is really cute. I love that look. But if I wear it, here's the clip of me wearing it, it is not my favorite look, unfortunately. I like the color, it's really bright and fun. I like the ties, I like how it looks on the front with my waist. It is oversized, it is roomy, it is what I wanted, and it is what the pattern calls for. But on the back or from the side, I don't really like it. I think the waist is too high up, just for a cool girl look. Maybe if in the back the waist part would have a curve with like short rows or something, that would make it a little bit prettier, I think, but also with a longer peplum. But I only have about 10 grams of yarn left. The yarn that I used is Istex Kambgarn, which is a non-superwash merino, but it has a little bit of a superwash feel. It's not the same as double Sunday. That's wonderful. It is a little bit mild from itself. Like, it's not, there is some white coming through, but I don't mind that look. I think it makes a little more, gives a little bit more movement to the fabric. One skein of 50 grams is 150 meters, so it's more of a sport weight yarn. I think I knitted this on needle size 4.5 or 5. I would say 4.5, but the pattern calls for 2 strands of mohair held together on 3.5 millimeter needles. So I have the gauge. It's just really a different fabric than the pattern calls for, but I think the drapiness still, it is a little bit here. I don't think the problem I have with this is because of the yarn per se. It is my body type, which I like just straight boxy oversized sweaters better than something that accentuates the waist. And this part is so short, it feels a little bit childish to me. But anyways, I'm really glad that it's finished. I will wear this, but not that often, maybe as some other sweaters. I bought this yarn in the sale at Wool Atelier Tilburg, which is a yarn shop not too far from here. And yeah, this is it. This is my Vienna blouse, so I'm going to hang this to the side. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention that I could have knitted so much more this month, but here I live in Den Bosch, and last week it was the 11th of November, and that's the start of the carnival season. It is the first time that I'm celebrating carnival here, because I don't live here all that long, as you know. So I needed to make my jacket. Here we have this kind of, like, for me it feels like a uniform. So everyone wears like a kind of coat jacket thing with all these patches. You collect patches every year, and then you need to sew them on. So yeah, I needed to do that, and that took quite some evenings. Next, finished object, because I'm rambling on things that most of you probably don't understand, but I really had a great evening. I finished a weekend hat. So this again is a pattern by Petiteknit. I promise I'm not working solely on Petiteknit. I have one non-Petiteknit pattern. But this is a gift for my brother, and I'm gifting this to him tonight. So I really wanted to film this today because of that. The weekend hat is a 1x1 ribbed pattern of beanie hat. So you start, it's quite easy. You start over here, you cast an X amount of stitches, and I do think it's strange that for this pattern, like this biggest child size, the small size adult and the medium size adult are the same amount of stitches, just the height differs. Do with that what you will, but that made it quite easy to pick the size. I chose size medium, but this is a 1x1 rib, so it's really stretchy, and I think this will suit everyone, which is why I chose this pattern. I have made the Oslo hat before by Petiteknit. I love the look of the Oslo hat. It is so beautiful, but it's hard to get the right size because knitting a swatch straight, flat I mean, is so much different than working on a hat on a smaller circumference, because I use 40 centimeters circular needles for this, which is comfortable, but you have, well, my tension is really different. The Oslo hat is a stockinette stitch. Anyways, you start over here, you do an X amount of centimeters, then you do some 3 rows of double knitting, so it has like this fold that naturally hits here. Then you do almost the exact same amount, another fold, and then the length that the pattern calls for, or the length that you want it. But this is going to be a surprise. I do have to say I knitted this first one a little bit shorter because I have made this pattern before, and sometimes I don't really like how the edge over here and over here folds. So this down here is like 2 folded and this is 3 times folded. I don't think it matters. And then you do decreases on 4 sides. So in the end I needed to do magic loop, and this is the top part. So I really like how this turned out. I use Sandnes Garn Tynn Pure Gynt held double. I was just looking for a yarn that I could use, and also colors for, like, this is not my color. I like the idea of brown. I want to use a little bit of brown. I have bought brown for a sweater, brown yarn, but I like color and this doesn't suit me. I have the label over here. This is the color 3073, but I have no idea what the name is. I bought 3 skeins. So Tynn Pure Gynt is a fingering weight Norwegian wool, so it's nice and rustic. It's durable, and I think especially for men, I feel like they like a little bit more rustic feeling yarn or wool. This is what I have left, so I used 2 skeins plus a little bit, and it is not a cacao nibs. Cacao nibs is way darker than this. Anyways, I bought this yarn online recently where there was a little bit of a Sandnes Garn sale, so I just picked a couple of yarns that were suited for men and were in stock, because I didn't want to have to wait for them to get the yarn from, what is it, Denmark. I want to have this finished for his birthday, for my brother. So this is how the weekend hat looks on me. Like I said, I don't really like the color on me. It is really snug. The gauge is a little bit too small, so maybe I should have made the largest size, but I like how there's a little bit of room. I think that looks cool, and I think with wear this will get a little bit bigger, and for men this looks so much different than for me with my hair hanging loose. But I have that blue, poppy blue yarn from Knitting for Olive for a hat, so maybe I will try to do an Oslo hat for myself, but I do like knitting this. So yeah, this will be a cute gift. This is the first thing that I've knitted for my brother, and it's a surprise. He doesn't know that yet. So yeah, that's that. I did buy some other yarns. Maybe I will show you in the end some other colors. I think this will look great on him. But that's my final finished object. I did start another weekend hat. I started that before I bought the, I'm sorry, before I bought a brown yarn, but I felt that this blue color doesn't really scream my brother. I'm not sure. Anyways, this is pure Gynt, like the thicker worsted weight version by Sandnes Garn that I used for the sweater for my dad. I had 3 skeins and a little bit left over, so I thought it would be great for a hat. And then I decided I wanted a different color. So this is the color 6072, a blue grayish color. I do really like it. Same size, I think same thing with the gauge. I have a fold over here. It isn't as noticeable on this yarn and over here. So if I fold this over, then basically this is what I have. So I'm able to fold this once. And the second fold is in. I just need the length. And this is a great project for me with meetings, like work. Has been crazy these last couple of weeks. The period up to like the Christmas is so hard. It's so tough with the shorter days. It's dark, it's rainy, the weather is gray as, I don't know, maybe that's why the lighting is a little bit harder. So knitting at work really helps for my mental health. So this, I think, will be a backup hat, backup beanie, just laying around. Maybe it will be a great gift for someone someday, don't know yet. Maybe I will give this anyways to my brother if he would like it, I don't know. So if I want to compare sizes, well, it looks really tiny now, but I think this one grew with blocking, so I'm hoping this one will as well, because now it feels really small. But hey, if it's ripped, then it's really easy to wear. Like, I like this color on me because I have blue eyes, but I think it's quite a manly color. I like brighter blue. Anyways, that's something I've been working on and I'm really enjoying. And I think I can foresee that I have a hat on my needles most of the time the upcoming weeks, because I am going to make a hat for my boyfriend. Not going to make a sweater anytime soon, like the sweater curse, the boyfriend sweater curse. I believe in that, as you know, and I've told him that, like, you're not going to get a sweater anytime soon. So let's start with a hat. I have picked out a yarn, but he doesn't know which color, so that's, I don't know if he watches or if he's still watching. Friends, let me know. But yeah, you will see that in the end. I want to make a hat for myself, and I really like these smaller projects. So enough talked about hats. Next, a drink. And I'm sorry if you hear some noise in the background. It's my laundry machine. I really needed to do that. A project that you've seen the last time, which is my honey wash bag. It is a pattern by Petiteknit. I haven't worked on this for 2 or 3 weeks now, because I'm getting a little bit sick of this and it's still not finished, but it is really beautiful. So it is a little bit of a struggle with all the needles. Here it is. So this is a cute bag. It probably will be a project bag that you knit from the bottom up. I'm using hand-dyed yarn by my friend Fem from TheMindfulCreators. I've talked a lot about this yarn. This is, by the way, a full skein. So this is the Bouncy DK in Wildflower. I believe she uses 6 different color speckles. I mean, I've raved about this the last time. I really enjoy this. I enjoyed this so much that I bought the leftover skeins that she had, and she's going to dye for me some extra skeins for a sweater. I hope that will be sometime soon, because I'm really aching, like it itches to get that sweater started, but it will have to wait for now. Fortunately, I have enough projects on my needles. So you start at the bottom and you do quite a big piece with double knitting on 2.5mm needles. So it was a little bit tough on my hands because DK weight on 2.5mm needles, double knitting, but it makes for a really sturdy fabric, which, well, you get it if you need to make a bag. Then you pick up stitches all the way around that, and you start this honeycomb brioche stitch. If you want to try this, please watch the instruction video that Petiteknit provides on our website, because that is so helpful. I have made a honey clutch before, still needs a lining and a zipper, don't ask. But now this bigger thing. So you work in the round, but for this brioche stitch, it's a 4-row repeat, and row 1 and 3 are knitted on the right side of the work, and row 2 and 4 on the wrong side. So you knit 1 round, you flip the work inside out, and you work another round, and then you flip it back and back again. So I have on the shorter ends of the work sock needles, so double pointed needles, 2.5mm, and then I have one big magic loop kind of thing, 80cm needle. So that's, and you also need, of course, 1 extra double pointed needle to work those edges. So it takes some getting used to. You have to be mindful with this project because mistakes are made easily, but really hard to fix. I do have some mistakes in here. Let's call them happy little accidents, like Bob Ross calls them. So here on this edge, this is the turning point. Well, in this yarn it's hard to see, but I notice something there, and here it is really noticeable. I started with the long side, I started knitting it, and I realized too late that I was knitting with a double pointed needle, and a double pointed needle is only like 20 centimeters long. So I dropped some stitches, needed to pick them back up, and a couple of rows later I realized I made a mistake. So here it is quite visible that there are mistakes, like these are straight. Maybe I will sew them down, but maybe I'm too lazy, I'm not sure yet. So last time I think I had only this much of the honeycomb done, and now I am quite far, but I think it needs to be 17 centimeters up. So I'm just over halfway. And like I said, I'm a little bit, I don't really like it at this moment. This is what I have left, by the way. It should be just about enough, or just a little bit too little, but I have the yarn for my sweater. I think I can use some yarn of that if I need to. So I really want to pick this back up again because it is really beautiful. It is really cute. It will be stunning when it's done. And I just love how you can still see the texture, but also the yarn is really shining in this texture. So I really like that. Maybe this will be my project for this weekend. Maybe that's a good idea. Also, one thing that is great is that it's quite a small project, so it's easy on the go, but I need to be relaxed and sitting on the couch and not doing anything else, because otherwise mistakes will happen. So that's the next project. Then I want to talk, I think, about my sweet shop blanket, and then I have my Esther jacket and maybe the yarn. I decided to put this on a hanger as well so you can see it a little bit better. The sweet shop blanket. I started this in February, I believe, or was it January? Anyways, it's been almost a year and I haven't worked on this since, well, March or April, and I don't mind that. I feel like this is my long-term project. It won't be finished this winter, maybe next winter, maybe the year after that, but I really I have enjoyed knitting on this for these last week and a half. So if you haven't seen this pattern before, it's a pattern by Laura Penrose or Penrose Knits, and you have all these triangles with a contrast color and a main color, and you work on it one triangle at a time. So you attach it as you go. You don't need to sew it in the end. You just have a lot of loose ends to weave in, and then you can make it as big as you want it. So before I started working on this, like what I had left from last year were these 9 squares. So I had like a square, and I think I had this like pink one. So I did these down here, and I also started over here. And to be fair, honest, one little triangle takes quite some time. You think, oh, one triangle, I can do that in half an hour. No, it probably takes me almost 2 hours to do one triangle. So it's a slow project, but I think I like that it's a little bit slower. And for the first thing, I remember struggling with how to do every triangle, because every triangle is a little bit different. Like if you work from here and you need to pick up stitches on this side, you do increases or decreases a different way than you pick it up at this angle, or the top triangle is also different. She explains everything really well in the pattern, so that's really doable, but I had a hard time memorizing it or make it a little bit like more automatic, and now I think that's easier. I had a thought I wanted to say and now I lost it. I don't know, I really enjoyed it. As you can see, I'm working here and I need to do one main color, the whiter color, and then I have these next planned out, and then I don't have to plan out anymore, and I'll see when I pick this back up. The yarn that I'm using, the main color is Filcolana Arwetta, which is their sock yarn. 50 grams is 200 meters, so it is fingering weight, but it's a thicker fingering weight than, let's say, Sandnes Garn Sunday or Knitting for Olive Merino, but that's a really thin fingering. I'm holding it double. The color is Marzipan, so it is quite a soft, more grayish undertone than like stark white, but I wanted to have a little bit softer. All the contrast colors are Knitting for Olive held double. Some of them are merino, some of them are cotton merino. I have the color mole, terracotta rose, rust, plum rose. This is mole again. This is dusty olive, bordeaux, copper, nut brown, then plum rose, terracotta rose, copper, rust, dusty olive. I think here probably will be bordeaux, or bordeaux will be over here. And then I don't know which one I've planned. Anyways, I mean, it looks beautiful, and you can see on my background and my pink wall that I have coordinated this exactly like my home, that it will fit in my home. Like lots of pink colors, but also some warmer, rusty, brownish colors, the pop of bordeaux and a pop of green. So it is kind of neutral, kind of colorful, but I have like a theme. And I have yarn enough for a really big blanket. So let's see how far I will get. and I'm just enjoying this. Oh, that's what I wanted to say. You make these triangles sometimes with short rows and sometimes with just increases, and decreases are really simple. That's what I wanted to say. Anyone can make this. I really enjoy it, and I had plans. I'm collecting yarn for a second one, but I don't think I want to knit a second one anytime soon. Just this one first. That is the Sweet Shop blanket. I don't know if I want to show this next time. I'm going to show this in the next episode. It depends on whether I'm working on it. If I haven't worked on it, then it will be in hibernation, and I will show it again when I have some significant progress. Because if I have just done one triangle, I don't know if I'm going to show it. Probably not. Okay, that's the Sweet Shop. My tea is cold. I don't know about you, but I have the problem all the time. I'm so busy knitting and I'm in my knitting flow that I forget that I have hot tea with me, which is a shame because I really love tea. My last project is my Esther jacket, again by Petiteknit. And I think I only shown you the yarn that I'm using. So let's start with that recap. I'm using Isager Jensen, which is 100% pure new wool. 100 grams is 250 meters. So 50 grams is 125 meters. It's a DK weight. I have bought 4 of these skeins, but actually these are 2 skeins twisted together. So I'm working on one of them right now. So you have 1 strand of Jensen and 2 strands of Isager Highland wool, which is a lace weight, because 50 grams is 275 meter. I think this is more of a lace weight. I really like this yarn. It is quite dry. I like this. Not too rustic, but it's really not a merino. I can feel that. So 2 strands of this and 1 strand of this held together makes for a really nice sturdy fabric. It is knitted on needle size 5. I'm knitting it on needle size 5. So that's a little bit of a change from my small needles all the time. And I bought this yarn at a yarn fair. I have forgot the name of the yarn fair. The Breidagen in Nijkerk here in the Netherlands. By het Ria-huis, that's the stand or the web shop called. And they sell like also the projects, the yarn for all these projects from Isager, and this is the yarn that the pattern recommends. So I really wanted to do that sometimes. Friend bought the yarn as well, talked about that previously. And this is where I'm at. So the Esther jacket is a dropped shoulder cardigan with a high round neck. I have knitted cardigans before, but those were V-necks. The Vienna blouse is round neck, so this will be the next one. And it is a textured pattern again. And especially for cardigans that's nice, because you don't have the long purl rows, but on the wrong side you do also knit stitches. So this is the texture that you get. It's only knits and purls, which is easy, but I do have to say, reading the chart, well, reading it is okay, but keeping track is really important. I'm using the app Knit and Note, and I use that especially for the patterns. You can upload PDF files, which is what I do, and you have like the tools of a pen or a marker, and I mark every time I finish a row on the chart, because otherwise I get lost, especially on the wrong side of the work. I don't have trouble reading it, but remembering, oh, am I making this thing bigger or making it smaller, and this gets bigger, then this gets smaller, and that gets smaller, but that is a little bit more mind consuming. So you start at the top and you do some increases over here. I feel like this is really tight. I don't think if that's a me problem or that just happens with this pattern and this yarn. I'm hoping this will block out, because now it bunches here and I feel like it's a little bit too tight, but I didn't want to redo it, so hopefully I'm not going to regret that. There is some shaping here a little bit for the underarm, and then I have picked up stitches for the right shoulder. You do some shaping here for the neckline and you cast on extra stitches, and there is some shaping here for the armhole. So here you can, well, this armhole's obviously too small because you need to cast on some extra stitches. I also started the left shoulder, so this is where I'm at with the increases for the neckline as well. So it's getting along quite nicely. I really enjoy working on this, especially that it's not as mindless as the weekend hat or the sweet shop blanket. So this is quite a thick and warm and sturdy fabric. That's why it's called a jacket. Probably I think I will wear this as a cardigan as well, especially at work. And this is like, I really wanted to knit something in white, maybe white cables, but I enjoy this as well. This can be worn over everything. So this is how far I'm at with the Highland wool, and I have finished one of these cakes of Jensen, and this is the second one. So yeah, I really enjoy knitting this, and I can't wait for this to be a little bit further along and I can see how it will look, but also wearing this, obviously. And that is the last project that I'm working on. Okay, I think I talked quite fast. I can feel it in my throat a little bit. And next, let me grab some yarn that maybe I can show, that I also bought at the same time as the brown Tynn Gynt. Also, I needed my knitting friends and I are doing the Advent again. So last year we made, like, we each got assigned one of us, and we make the little Advent, like 4 gifts for the Sunday up to Christmas, and then on Christmas Day, Christmas morning. So we're doing that again. So I needed to order some yarn, and that's around the same time that I ordered the brown Tynn Gynt. And this is one of the yarns that I ordered as well, which is Sandnes Garn Sunday. It's their fingering weight non-superwash merino. I really like Sunday, I think. I don't know if I've knitted with Sunday before. And it's like pine green, maybe that's the name. It's 8082. I thought maybe that would be beautiful for a hat, but I think, like, for me it is quite neutral, but for some people this is quite bright. So this I'm saving. Maybe it will be a hat, maybe it will be a scarf, maybe it will be a camisole number 9, like all the summer yarns that I am saving. So that's the yarn that I can show you. I'm not going to show the other yarn just in case. You will see that at a later time. Like I said, I have some hand-dyed yarn coming in, the Wildflower, but also from the Mimi at Campfire collection. I still haven't got that yarn, unfortunately, but hopefully soon. And I also ordered, like, I've been yarn shopping like crazy. I can't stop myself. But I ordered the project completely, the yarn and the pattern from Sandnes Garn Christmas sweater from this year, which is an all over color work with like reindeer and Christmas trees and I think the Christmas hat, and I don't know, I fell in love. I haven't done color work at all, so I'm just going to work on a whole sweater for the first time, but I feel like that will be a year-long project maybe. I want to have that finished next Christmas. So I'm really excited for that to come in the mail and to start working on that, because I do want to start that soon. And in a couple of weeks, my friends, knitting friends and I are going to do a yarn shop trip here in the Netherlands. So More new yarn to come, but I'm knitting a lot, so that's my excuse. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will hopefully see you again in my next episode. Goodbye.